one, I'm not a mechanic, and two, I'm not an electrician. This whole, oh shit, they just went off. As I sit here filming this, I'm pretty sure it just blew a fuse from sitting here idling. Like I said, I'm not an electrician. What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things. Today, as you can tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be installing a light bar on my 2018 Subaru Crosstrek. Behind me, you can see I already got a little bit of a head start. I removed the bumper last night because I thought it was going to take me a lot longer than it actually did. This is the reasoning for that. It has a million of these little pop rivets that I said in previous videos that I really don't like, but to be honest, it actually wasn't too hard to remove the bumper. On the top here, you have 8 contact points. Most of them are 10mm bolts, and then the other 2, I believe this one and the outside one here, are pop rivets. On the inside of the wheel well, there is 1 pop rivet right here, and then the bottom side of the bumper is completely lined with both pop rivets and Phillips head pop rivets. There are 13 different connection points on the bottom here, and my Crosstrek is actually the premium, so I have fog lights that I had to disconnect as well. When you start with the removal, you just pull it off from the wheel well, kind of pop out the front underneath the headlight, going slowly, and then you reach down in the back. This is the actual connection for the fog light. You basically just press this little tab in, and they disconnect really easily. I laid the blanket on the ground, did the same thing on the other side, and then pulled the bumper straight off, set it on the blanket, and moved it to the side. There's also a foam energy absorber that just pops right out of the actual bumper here, and that's basically the point that I'm at right now. The kit that I'm installing today is this light bar right here by SSD Performance. It's nice and low profile, it mounts directly to the front bumper, and supposedly it is pretty damn sturdy. I have hella 500 series driving lights to mount on the front of it, 4 of them. They're running the Black Magic stone covers, and I think it's gonna be looking pretty good once I'm done with it. Here's everything that's included in the SSD kit. You have the mounting brackets, the bar itself, the hardware, and there's also a license plate relocating kit, which I don't need because in Pennsylvania, we don't need a front plate. For the actual lights, I have 4 of the lamps here with the black stone covers, like I said, matching hardware, and then all of the wiring, which is going to be my weakness. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the hardest part to this whole install. So the next step on this install process is something that I'm not too stoked about, if I'm going to be honest, but I'm going to have to ream out 2 of the holes in the front bumper to allow me to put new hardware in and mount up the brackets for the light bar. The reason for that being is that I'm going to be using this hole and this hole here, and they're a little bit undersized as compared to the actual hardware that you have to put through there. This one, as you can see, is a little bit oblong. That is circular, but it's just not quite big enough. Luckily, we have a unibit driver here, which is basically used to ream out holes like this. So I'm gonna give this a shot. Gonna do it on the round hole first, so I have less of a chance of messing things up. Judging by the measurements on the actual bit, it seems like I only have to go up 1 size, so hopefully this won't be too bad. That was easy enough. All right, I was worried for no reason. Now this one, as you can see, it's a little bit oblong, so it might be kind of awkward to do this, but we'll see. Boom, looks like it's supposed to be that way. Now it's time to mount up the brackets. The longer part is going to go up behind the bumper. You have a nylon nut on the end of this bolt here. Bolt goes through, washer on each side of the bumper respectively. And then you're not gonna tighten this down all the way because you need a little bit of wiggle room to actually level out the bar. It's getting to a point now where there's a little bit of resistance with how much I can move the actual bracket, so I'm gonna leave it right there for now. Once I actually mount up the bar to this, it's gonna give me a little bit of flexibility to level things out. Now I will actually install the bar. You're gonna mount the top of this to the top of the L brackets. The hardware includes crush washers that are gonna go on top, and then just a regular nut on the bottom. I don't really notice the leveling on this changing much. The way the brackets mount to the bumper, it's going to be pretty level regardless. However, I think there is a little bit of adjustment in terms of centering on here, so I'm gonna hold the bar where I believe is center and then tighten the brackets. This is pretty much it for the test fitment of the actual bar. There is a little bit of wiggle room forward and backwards, so once I put the bumper back on and I'm actually putting this in place, I'll have to make sure that this is pushed all the way towards the back of the L bracket. Now it's time to remove this and then put the bumper halfway back on. Now when reinstalling this bumper, I'm gonna put it back in place, but I'm not gonna put all of the fasteners back on. I'm just gonna hold it to the top here with 2 or 3 of those bolts, and the reason for that is because I'm actually gonna need room to get behind the bumper to tighten the bar to the brackets. I think this part might be a little tricky as well. First, the foam energy absorber can go back in place. 10 millimeters. That's just enough to hold it in place. Now this is the space that I'm working with here. As you can see, there isn't much room. It might be easier if I remove this entire splash guard so I can get my hand up in there. We'll see how it goes. All right, they're in there just hand tight. Now, how am I going to get tools in there to snug everything up? The solution, an open-ended wrench and a ratcheting wrench. Thing is on there. Now that the bar is on and everything is snug, I'm gonna replace the bumper, starting really slowly from the top, putting the fasteners across, and then slowly working the clips back in down to the wheel wells. When putting the front bumper back on, make sure that the inside of the wheel well, the liner, goes on the inside of the bumper. I didn't do that on the other side. This is how it should actually look with the front bumper going over the inner fender liner. Up here is the only point where you're going to put a push rivet back in. Push that in, good to go. The rest of the pieces in this bag go up underneath the front bumper, and also don't forget to plug in your fogs. I forgot to do that, but I'm hoping I can reach them from underneath here. This is gonna take a while, so I'll be back in a sec. So the bar is installed, now it's time to move on to the lights. This part is pretty straightforward. They give you little packets of hardware for each light. I'm gonna get these mounted up, and then we're gonna move on to the wiring. That is going to be my weakness. Now I'm not gonna tighten these too much because I'm not gonna be able to tell where the light's actually pointing until they're all wired up. So I'm just gonna get it kind of snug, that way I can still make adjustments once it's on the bar. And now install the light. All right, lights are mounted, and I must say they're looking pretty fresh. I'm glad that I went with this style of lights over the 30-inch LED. This is more of like the classic rally style, so I think it looks pretty good. There's a lot more adjustment in the lights as well in terms of positioning. You can position them both on the bar, and then with the mounting bracket, it kind of pivots it a little bit. So I'm gonna have to get this thing wired up and then find the actual position of the lights before I tighten everything down. This part is definitely gonna take a while, and it's gonna be kind of trial and error on where I'm gonna be running the wires, how I'm going to be wiring it into the fuse box, how I'm getting through the firewall, and all things like that. So again, I'm just gonna cut this video and then I'll come back to you guys with a solution. Okay, 2 hours have passed and everything is pretty much done. I just need to tidy up some of the wires, but I left some of the panels off so I could show you guys what we did to get this thing up and running. If you're just watching this for entertainment purposes, I'm sorry, but this is gonna be technical and not too exciting, but this is to help the people who are actually doing this install themselves. Up front, as you can see, it does look pretty tidy because I took 2 wires, both the power and the ground, out of each light, ran them through this tubing, kind of spliced everything as necessary into 2 of these tubes, and then ran them straight through the middle into the bumper. On the inside of the bumper, I have them snaked over here up along the side of the frame. Then when you're looking down from the top, you can sort of see where I have them zip tied here, but basically I just kept it nice and clean so that you couldn't see the wires just hanging free underneath here. So both the power and the ground come out through here. I have them run underneath here. Ground is on the battery, and then the power and all of the wiring runs under this panel right here. So underneath here I have the relay mounted down to the actual fuse box. This is one of the fuse boxes here, so the relay is mounted right onto this bolt on the side. You have all of the wires coming out of the assembly right here. The power going directly from the battery to the relay. And then this yellow wire and the green wire are running into the cabin. The green is actually controlling the power to the switch, and the yellow, I believe, is controlling the switch. I'm really not that good at wiring, but we got it set up and it's working, so whatever. The green wire, when it runs in through here into the engine bay, I have it spliced into the high beam wire right here. That way, when I have the switch turned on for these lights to activate, they're only going to go on when I'm running my high beams. So the yellow wire and the green wire, I ran them through this little, there's like a little cavity right here. If you pull out this foam piece, you can see straight through to inside of the door jamb. On the inside here is what I still need to clean up a little bit, but you can see a little gap there. The wires come through. Ran them down on the outside of the hinges and then through this grommet. I'm probably gonna end up cutting that grommet so that the wires will sit flush up against there and I can keep everything watertight. Now on the inside down by the dead pedal, I ended up removing this panel to have access to everything over here, all the computer wiring and then the fuse box up here. The door of the fuse box just pops right off. I ran all the wires through here. The ground is going to the switch. I grounded that right here on this little bolt. Both the green and yellow wires. We found that once we were kind of doing trial and error tests of this, it actually matters which goes to which. So again, if you are doing this, yellow is going to the middle of the switch, green is going to the bottom, ground is on the top. And this is how I have the switch oriented. The fuse and everything is down there. There's also a fuse on the power line. So I'm gonna put all these panels back together and then I will show you guys what they look like. All right, so the way I have this thing wired up, right now they're in a completely off position. The switch on the inside, I don't have it on one of the dummy switches yet. It's just inside of the fuse panel, but this is how it works. Regular headlights are on, fog lights are on. High beams are on, everything works like normal. It's not throwing any codes or anything. Now, once I turn the switch for the lights on, the hellas still stay off until I put my high beams on. I don't know if you can hear that in the video, but it pulls a little bit more power than it should. At least at idle. I'm sure once you're driving and moving around, it'll be fine. All right, so that is the finished product. Hopefully, if you were doing this install yourself, it helped you out, or if not, hopefully it was somewhat entertaining. The bar install was fine. There's really no complaints with that, but the install of the lights was definitely not as easy as I hoped it was gonna be. The schematics and the diagrams and everything that came with the hella lights were really not that good. I think they could definitely be improved, but luckily I had Frank there to help me and we got it figured out between our limited knowledge. If you guys have any questions about this setup, you can ask in the comments, but chances are I'm not gonna be able to answer you because one, I'm not a mechanic, and two, I'm not an electrician. This whole, oh, they just went off. Well, as I sit here filming this, I'm pretty sure it just blew a fuse from sitting here idling. Like I said, I'm not an electrician. Yeah, they look good, so I'll just pop the covers back on. I mean, to be honest, how often am I really gonna use these?
Probably not, ever.
Probably not very often. But rally car, bro. There, how's that look? That looks pretty good. Hey! Oh, speaking of that, while I was doing this whole install, I got a brand new shipment of fresh stickers, both for cars and cell phones, or just smaller ones, whatever you want to put them on. Definitely going with the red because this whole car is gonna be red and black. Should put 4 of them all the way across. If I sent you one of these when you bought something from my store at talonside.com, this is how you put them on. Peel the back off. Yeah, it looks pretty good, I guess. Try to lay them on smooth. Press it down with your nail. Some people use like a credit card or whatever, but I'm not that worried about it. Slowly peel it off, making sure that the sticker stays stuck to the window. Boom. All right, that's gonna be it for this video. Once I get the whole fuse situation taken care of, I will take some nice pictures of it and throw them up on my Instagram, so go follow me there. Wait a second, we know what it was. The fuse that's running from the battery to the actual relay, it's meant for 2 lights. We have all 4 running through the same power, so it was a 15 fuse, we're gonna use a 25. It's not double, but hopefully this should make it work. Everyone's like, do a roof rack, and I would because they look dope, but then you'd get like 10 miles per gallon. I ain't about that life. There we go. All right, we're back. We're good to go. If you're new to this channel, consider clicking subscribe. I'm definitely going to be making some more car videos in the future. And I guess that's it. So, as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.